Okay, I totally forgot to record Monday, but I got the afternoon recording. Okay, so today's agenda is I'm going to do a little HTML fun quiz just in the chat, just to kind of refresh memories and maybe push our knowledge a little. And then I want us to do some breakout rooms so that you can talk amongst yourselves about what you're thinking about for your projects and help each other develop your ideas if you need to kind of talk through some ideas. May even do, yeah, let's do like a fun little brainstorming event on my iPad. We can just sort of like shout out ideas of potential projects. I'm going to introduce Flexbox. I just posted a video this morning. Flexbox is kind of an easy way to get multiple columns on a page. It's not technically a full like grid system. There's another CSS styles called CSS grid that can let you do like multi-dimensional. But with Flexbox, it's pretty easy to get up and running, and then you can kind of just like stack rows on top of each other to do like multi-grid stuff. And I'll probably do a CSS grid demo too, because I kind of like it better. It's more flexible, but maybe the learning curve is harder. I'm not sure. I feel like if you learn Flexbox first, then when you go to learn CSS grid, you're like, wow, this is so easy. Why didn't you teach this first? And then the opposite is also true. So I think it's like introduction to grid. There's like a bit of a learning curve. And then whatever you learn after that, you're like, oh, this one's so much easier. So this is an ongoing hypothesis that I'm developing about Flexbox versus CSS grid. And then we'll talk a little bit about design comps. I thought I was going to have some gathered, but I'll go gather some. Maybe we'll take a break at some point and I'll go grab some. So how is the wireframing going so far? Any snafus? Or yeah, and I'm also, yeah, I think some people are still kind of like hashing out their ideas as well about what they want to do. But I thought I would show you some like fully fleshed out wireframes to give you an idea of like kind of what they look like, what their purpose is. And then I had this like moment of genius this morning where every term I feel like it's really hard for students to just get like the structure down in HTML first and then apply style. So I thought, well, why don't we just start coding the wireframes, so you don't even like have the choice to add like fonts and think about padding and stuff that much, and then like apply the design comps, like the colors, typography, spacing, layout. So we might try that. It might just be genius. I don't know, or it might just be a horrible disaster. We'll see. I'm gonna cough. Hold on. I feel like I have allergies like 365 days of the year, and they're worse in the morning. Okay, so let's see, what should we do first? You guys want to do a little HTML warm up in the chat, and just like what I'm going to do is shout out a tag, and then you can try to type it out in the chat. Sound good? Okay, let's do an H1 tag with the title of bananas. Jackie, do you have a, oh, it's just because, okay. And you know, there's like gallery view too, so you don't have to stare at my face. You can stare at each other's face. Okay, but yeah, so in the chat, when I say go, header that says bananas. Cool, awesome, Macy, awesome, Virgilia, Sean, cool, okay.
Oh, I thought you were asking what it was going to display. My bad.
Oh.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, we're just gonna like type out some HTML in the chat. Awesome, okay, let's do a link that goes to cookies.com. Bananas. Anybody? Link. Cool. Now you guys are just copying each other. So A is the tag. Yeah, it's a tough one. So A is the tag. So it's A, and then href is the, it's hypertext reference, which is, yeah. And when you do a link, you need to say, this is HTTP or HTTPS : // cookies.com. So that was a tricky one, probably hard for, and then it would be cookies.com would be the text in the middle, or go to cookies.com. So here's the example. Yep, so Nicole, you were close. So the href is what you call a HTML attribute. Another one is like on images, source, src. I just gave away the, I'll do that one in a few and see if you can remember. But yeah, so when you do a link, it's kind of the same thing in a lot of apps like email. If you don't add that HTTP : / it doesn't get recognized as a link. So yeah, you need that part, which is basically telling, it's telling HTML that like, oh, hey, this actually goes to a website. So HTTP is the it's the protocol for like for basically like website linking. I should probably do a demo of that. And if you can actually have an email also be a link, and that looks like this: href equals mail to : pdx.edu, and then I could put my email pdx.edu. So it looks like this. So href equals, and then there's this like magic text, mail to : and that tells the browser, oh, this is an email address, and it'll open it in whatever default mail application your computer has. And then you could just have the email address. Another cool thing is that you can actually fill in the subject and the body of your email. So if I was to, I'll just copy and paste that. And then after my email, I can say ? Subject equals, I love this class. That will actually like auto, what do you call it? Auto populate the subject line. You can also say, I'll copy that. And this is like a, so subject equals, I love this class. And then you could say ampersand body. So if you're gonna like add some kind of value, like if you go to a URL and you're like putting in like your cookie info or like some sort of like parameter in that URL, the first parameter that you put in is always with a okay, question mark, subject equals, I love this class, and then any of the like parameters that you're setting after that, you do ampersand, and then yeah. So I'll show you an example of that, but like it's a kind of common strategy. So body equals, just wanted to send you an email about how absolutely awesome you are. Okay, so so yeah, so if we go to like, let's find a URL. I'm just gonna find one. I'll go to like the news. I don't want to go to news right now. We'll go to Oregon Live. Will be a little better. So share screen. Share news. Okay, I'm sharing the right screen, right? I'm gonna click around until I get some question marks happening. Okay. Nope, that one's not gonna do it. Let's see, recently viewed. Let's find a good one. Portfolio wireframes. Of course, I won't be able to find any now. Does this one have any? How about you? Okay, let's go from an email. Let's look at an email. So a lot of times emails will have tracking information in the links. So I'm sure Beta Brand has tracking. So they're like, okay, buy some pants. So if I click on this, there we go. Okay, so let's take this apart. I'm gonna copy it and put it in VS Code to kind of like show.
I think that it's like frozen on this Zoom screen.
Oh, is it? You don't see VS Code now?
Yeah, all we're seeing is the need resources on using Zoom page.
Okay. I have the worst luck sharing on this thing. Okay, desktop. Share. Okay. Good. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, so I have this, a lot of emails will have like tracking information in the links. So I just grabbed Beta Brand. Was it this class that someone was like, oh my God, so many unread emails? Well, I actually, it prompted me to delete all my unread emails. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this one, this URL, and let's just like look at how it's put together. Make a new file. Okay, so I'm gonna just expand this guy. So here's the basic URL. We're going to the website Beta Brand. So that's like the, it's called the canonical name, the C name. And then we're going to a folder called sale, or it's probably more like a route. So, but it kind of, you can think of it as like a folder named sale, just like you have like a homework folder. And then after that, there's $UTM source equals email. So that's the next part. And this UTM, this is probably a Google tracking. It's like probably set up in Google tracking. And then this is the second one. So the UTM medium equals campaign. So now there's some probably Google tracker that's like, okay, it's an email, it's a campaign, and the content, so ampersand UTM content is sale. I forgot to grab the, and then after that, UTM campaign is 10 week 1 sale fall into pants sale reminder. So they're like tracking which one of these emails is it. And then ampersand UTM term fab fall and promo bar. Oh, sorry, fab fall.
What is the UTM doing? Or what does it mean?
Yeah, it's a universal tracking something. Let's we'll jump over to Google and kind of look at it. And if any of you are taking there's like a marketing course that covers a bit of like Google Tag Manager. It's kind of in there. And then ampersand promo bar fab fall. And then it has and no pop-up. I don't know why there's no pop-up. But this, like, you can think of these as they're like fields in a database. So like if this was in Excel or, you know, any kind of other database, you'd have like a cell for UTM source, UTM medium, UTM content. And so you could track all this stuff and then figure out, you know, there's probably some tracker, like how many people opened it, where in the world are they, all that good stuff. So yeah, like, but if you just do like, what is UTM tracking? It's called, so it's a UTM code is a snippet of simple code add an URL to track the performance of campaigns. Oh, urchin traffic monitor. This name comes from Urchin Tracker, a web analytics software that served as the base for Google Analytics. Oh, I actually didn't know that. So Google Analytics must have bought this thing called Urchin. So when you click on an email, this info gets sent to the person that sent it to you so they can track. But this is kind of how you send multiple, like basically like parameters and values, or like arguments and values, or yeah, it's like this key value pair. So that's what's happening when you when you use the like mail to and then question mark subject equals. It's like sending parameters to your browser, and then your browser's like, oh, mail to, open it in mail, and then the second parameter is like, oh, put in the subject this, and then third parameter is like, oh, put in the body this. So okay, that was a really long segue. Let's think about, okay, so how about a paragraph with the text, I like cats. Nice, cool, okay. Okay, let's try that image tag. That's a tricky one. So an image with that points to a file that is bird.png. Rachel, I appreciate that you have a permanent image of yourself drinking a beer at 9:19 in the morning. You could say, it's morning kombucha. Cool. Cool. Yep, okay, so yeah, this one is also tricky. So the base tag is image, right? But we're adding a parameter called source. So, yep, you got it, Virgilia. It's image src equals, and then bird.png in quotes, and then no closing image tag. This is one of the only ones that is what's called a self-closing tag. And in VS Code, it may be changing it once you save it. It may change it to have a little, oh, what happened to my, try again. Okay, so image source, bird.png. So in VS Code, it may change it to have a little slash at the end. That's fine, it will work with HTML5. If I did this, oh, I had a tag backwards there. If I did this, img src equals bird.png, like that with no quotes, would that work? If, like, assuming the file I'm in is in the same directory. It would actually work, it's just not best practice. And it may not work on the server. And then, so does anybody remember how to add an alt tag to an image source? So if you don't have, basically the alt tag is like a text that will show up if you, if your image is broken or something. Does anybody remember that one? Yep, just need a an equal sign after alt. But yep, alt bird, perfect. Amiri, perfect. Sean, perfect. Yep. Then would it work if I changed, like if I switched around alt and source? It doesn't actually matter. So you can have any attribute in any order that you want. It's just kind of easier on the eyes if you sort of pick a pattern and stick with it. So generally you'll see image, source, and then alt afterwards. So what if I, let's see, for the paragraph, yeah? I can't right now, honey. Sorry. So what if I wanted to add a class name to that paragraph that said, what did the paragraph say? I like cats. How could I add a class name to that paragraph? So paragraph, I like cats. And then you could give it a class name of, I don't know, meow. Okay, so with adding class name, you want to put it in the tag. So I would have a P and then I would add a space after the P and say class equals, there you go, perfect. Meow. Right, awesome. And then let's pretend we're in our CSS file right now. How would I add padding of 10 pixels to the class called meow?
Alana, I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Would you usually add padding just straight into the HTML, or would that be something that you usually add in the CSS file?
Yeah, you want to avoid adding CSS to the HTML file whenever possible. I'm going to show you a quick reason why. But yeah, so for classes, you want to make sure you do a dot in front of it. So if there's no dot, it means that CSS is going to say, oh, there must be an HTML tag called meow. And so it'll look for a tag like that, like a meow tag. And HTML5 is actually like, you can create your own tags. They don't really have any meaning, but I could totally just add a tag called meow to my site and then use CSS to like style it however I want. It's not generally like good practice to do that, but it's totally doable. But so if I have just meow and then padding 10 pixels, it's gonna say there must be an HTML tag called meow. But if I do a dot meow, curly brackets, and then padding 10 pixels, then it'll look for a class name called meow. So in the paragraph, it would be P class equals meow. I like cats. And then in CSS, it's the dot meow. So there's another thing in CSS called an ID. I kind of avoid teaching you guys it because it doesn't really come in handy until we get to like using JavaScript. So IDs are, they look like this. So it would be just like the ID equals, I'll just say my meow. I like cats. Okay, so it's just, you basically replace class with ID. This HTML and CSS assume that there's only one instance of ID on the whole page. So it's for like a unique identifier. And it comes in handy when you want to make sure that the thing that you're targeting, there's only one of them. So with classes, you can you use them to style. So you could like add the same style to a lot of different elements, but ID is really for like, this is the one thing on the page. So you can think of like a button might have an ID. So you know, like this is the one button that I'm clicking on. But you might have like multiple buttons on the page and they all use the same class of like, dot button to style them. So you use it more as like this one thing, than you do really styling. So when in doubt, just use class. And you'll see a mix of this, like when you're doing tutorials online, sometimes people will use ID in ways that aren't really that great. And if you get in the habit of using IDs and they're not like unique and specific to the page, you'll get errors when you do like a HTML validator. But that is what an ID looks like. And then in CSS, instead of just no dot, instead of dot, it's pound. So ID, you can kind of think of it as like an ID number, right? You'd have like a pound. So it would be pound my dash meow. And then it would be something, I don't know, color red. So let's see, I'm gonna scroll through. It looks like most of you are remembering that semicolon. So in CSS, each line has to have a semicolon at the end. It kind of tells CSS, okay, this style is done. So padding is 10 pixels, and that's it, So if there's no semicolon, it'll think that, like, let's say I have two, like padding 10 pixels, and then right after that, I have like margin of 30 pixels or something. If I don't have a semicolon after 10 pixels, it'll read this as padding has 10 pixels, margin 30 pixels, and it won't understand this value of margin. It'll get really confused. So that's what that semicolon is. It's kind of like a period, like I'm done with this style. Okay, image padding. Let's do a whopper. Let's do an unordered list that has apples, oranges, and bananas in the list. Oh, and you'll probably have to do it on one line because I just realized shift return doesn't let you do like multiple lines. So you can just kind of string it all out, I guess, in one line, which Matt has just discovered. This is my elevator music. It's like a chicken elevator. Speaking of chickens, I don't know. I should remind everyone that tomorrow is a show and tell, and I totally missed last week, which sucked. Tomorrow's show and tell at noon is, dun, 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 dun. I think it's alumni tomorrow, right? Yeah. So show and tell, lightning talks, 12 o'clock. And the link, click for map. Where do you go?
I don't think there was a show and tell last week.
Oh, was it the first week? It was like the instructor one. Yeah, there's lightning talks, but where do you go? Oh, you just go to psu.gd/show-and-tell. They have all these cool like Zoom links now. So I have my own special classroom link. So yeah, show dash and dash tell. Okay, awesome, Kai. Awesome. Did you get shift return to work, or did you just do a lot of spaces? How'd you do that?
I just did it in Notepad.
Oh,
That's
smart.
easier than just copy and pasted it. I was like, is this gonna work? But it did, so that's something.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, sometimes it's funky, I think. Like, yeah, but that's awesome. Okay, perfect. Yep. And then, yeah, if we were going to do, so this would be all bulleted items. And then if we were going to do, yeah, where's Sean's? Yeah, Sean, did you copy and paste from another app? Where's Sean? Oh, okay, that's not fair. Yeah, I use shift return. Please. Dang it. I wonder if there's another way. I'm going to find out. Hi. Hi. My kid really needs it's not that hard. You can do it. Where's your thing? She didn't even have her thing.
Yeah, the spacebar hack. Does she have a shift return hack for Mac?
Shift return. Wait, shift return what?
Does she have like a hack for shift return like she did for the spacebar?
Oh yeah, Junie, do you know how to do multiple lines in let's see, shift option return? Nope, not shift option return.
I just thought it was return.
No, but like, what if you want to have, like, before you send all the text, you want to have multiple lines of text. So you want to have like, I don't know, maybe you want to make one of those poems, which is like your name and each letter has like a different word, you know?
Yeah.
The only way to do it is like, you would have to, every time you hit return, it like makes a new line. She's like, whatever, Mom, I don't care. Okay, fish, I'm gonna do shift enter. Nope, not that either. All right, well, moving on with my life. What about forward and no? All right. Unordered list. Okay, a chunk of code now. What if in the header of my document, I want to have an H1 that says fun times. So I want a header with an H1 of fun times. Yep, but remember there's like organizational tags too that you want to include around that H1. Yep. Cool. Let's see. Should we are you guys, are you friends? I hate the guys thing. Are you all interested in doing like a brainstorm on how to think about project ideas? Awesome. Apicale. Does that sound like fun or nah? Most of you, yes, no, medium, seems lukewarm. Right, I'm gonna save it for later then. Let's actually, if you are having issues, then with like, not issues, but just like having trouble finding an interesting subject that sounds fun to do this project one on, let's do breakout rooms. There's, I think I'm gonna do four per room. So things to think about. So what's the topic that you've decided on? What kind of content are you going to show? How have you chosen your 4 things? And how are they similar and different from each other? And how might you visually display that on the website? So remember, for this project, you want to have like a general solid look and feel where it all feels cohesive, like the same site. But for each page, there might be a different layout, different content on the page, different imagery, color, that kind of stuff. So like if it's 4 different kinds of Oregon wildflowers, you might have like a different background color. If it's like, I don't know, I'm just totally brainstorming. If it's like a tall grassy flower, maybe you have long columns of text. Whereas if it's like ground cover, you may have like a wide spans of text. I don't know. Things like that. What else? Yeah, and if you are having trouble coming up with ideas, just kind of help each other bat around ideas. So it's 9:37 right now. If there's 4 of you, let's give it like yeah, we'll give it like 28-ish minutes. So give yourselves 6 or 7 minutes each, and we'll come back. That's a long time. 28, we'll see. I'm gonna give it 25, let's see, 38, I don't know. Yeah, I'll give it 25-ish minutes. So is everybody cool on what you're gonna be covering? I'll probably pop in and say hello and see what's going on. If you have wireframes, it'd be good to, you should be able to share screen and just kind of show your basic ideas so far, or hold up your sketches if that's what you've got. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna do the breakout room thing. Into 4 rooms, 5 rooms. All right, I'm gonna do 6 rooms with 3 to 4 people. All right, ready? And then, so if you haven't done this before, a button will come up. It'll say, hey, you've been invited to this room. When you click on it, it'll like take you to a new room. You'll probably have to unmute yourself. And yeah, here we go. Dun, da, da. Okay. Okay, so here is another design comp for a self-care site. This is Rosemary Oliva, which I think she graduated last spring or summer. No, I think she might still be here till winter. But here's her self-care site. So she decided to have her homepage would be split in 2, and she'd have a welcome screen, or like kind of like a welcome message. And then for her sections broken up into 4 columns. So here is oral care. And so you can use absolute positioning to do this layering effect that she's doing. I'm gonna make a video of that this weekend. So she's got an oral care page, a skin care page, hair care, and body, and she's using this color change and background change, slight background change throughout, so that she's kind of tying in, each page will have this accent, a different accent color. So that is that one. This is for actually project 2, but I wanted to show you this couple of comps from project 2. So this one was for this burger place called, I think it was a burger, Off the Griddle. So he's got an about page for it. So it was a cart, and now they opened a brick and mortar store called A&D. So let's see. For the second one, we'll do mobile and desktop. So he's got design comps for both views. So this is his mobile homepage, mobile navigation, hours page, and then menu page. And he's identified that he's going to use these dots to navigate through if there's multiple pages. Here's the about page, and then a gallery page. And he's going to use that same navigation if there's multiple gallery pages. So here's the desktop. So he's basically got he's got everything worked out. Our menu, about, he's got his palette set up. He's using the fonts that he wants to use on the site. He's got examples of an on and an off state with his this like dot navigation. And so all this is like worked out without having to worry about code. Focus on, this is what I want it to like, and this is what I want it to do if you hover over things. And so, yeah, here is the hours page. So he's showing if you have, if you are on that page, the nav will have this border highlighted to show you which page you're on. He's using final content so that he can get a feel for how it'll look in desktop view. You're unstable. It just told me I had unstable internet. Same thing, like on desktop, here's how the menu will look. And yeah, so he's working out, for this one, he's working out between mobile and desktop. Mobile, I'll have an image with text underneath it. Desktop, I'm gonna have the image on the left and the text on the right. And when you're using final content, you can really get a good feel for how big should the text be, what about line height, all that kind of stuff. What will the font really look like? Yeah. Anything else? Oh yeah, and then for images, he's got, okay, I want my image style to be this rounded corner with a white tab at the bottom that has the name of what you're looking at. So he's really like, he's done a good job of thinking about kind of all the details that he's got to think about. He's using a repeating, like a tiled background. Yeah, so that's kind of like the difference between what wireframes and comps is. Like wireframes is really setting you up for structure and content hierarchy, all that stuff. Like you think about like, am I gonna have, what's the order of my pages? Am I gonna do home page to about page to menu page? Am I gonna have hours on the front? All that kind of like little noodly detail, you get that done. And then when you move over to design comps, you're really fleshing out how that's gonna look. So yeah, so by Monday, you should definitely have your wires done. We're gonna start coding basic structure using those wires. So a lot of times what'll happen is once you move to design comps, you'll make some adjustments to your layout. I'm not really worried about it. We'll figure it out as we go. I'll have my hours after 10:30 to kind of go through that stuff. So don't worry about, making your comps exactly like your wires. It rarely happens, but it'll at least give us a pretty good structure of content. And if your wireframes have that final content, it's really easy to get that into your boring HTML and get ready to kind of move stuff around and style it. Any questions that you can think of between like the wireframe and the comp? Oh, I should say, so next week, it would be great if comps were done by before Wednesday class so that like after Monday we can start kind of applying those styles. That would be ideal. We'll see how next week goes. I still feel like there's a lot of basics we need to get down. Like it's 10:13, I should do a Flexbox demo before we go. But yeah, any questions? I'm gonna zip. Okay, and then also, after 10:30, I'll be around to kind of talk through projects as well. Let me make sure. So yeah, I've updated, the design journal has been updated. So if you can just go to docs, weekly work breakdown, it's in here. So week 2, I added that journal prompt. Where'd it go? So yeah, just talk a little bit through project 1, what you're thinking about, how you're gonna make each page unique. And then here is the Flexbox demo, and I'll do a super quick one too while we're here. And yeah, so by Monday, wireframes will start coding stuff up. And I'm gonna keep making videos. I'll do a really quick demo for Flexbox because there's like a concept that will continue to show up throughout CSS that I think is a good one to kind of talk through for the first time. So let's see, I'll just go to my homepage. This is what, open with live server. Okay, so this is what the video has you walk through, and I'm just going to do a quick one here as well. I think the more times you see that Flexbox, the better. Hi. Okay, let's see. Maybe I'll do something on the design journal. So I'm going to go to my design journal page. And let's see, I have section 1, section 2, maybe I'll do a 2-column. Yeah, I'll do 2-column. So each one of these is already separated by a section. Let me see if I can get the text smaller. Okay, so I have main, then I have section. You can actually, there's an arrow here, so I can collapse these. And then we can kind of see a little better what's going on. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of sections, and they're all in the main tag. I'm going to give them give main a class. I'm going to say class equals, I like to call my, like a lot of times you'll have the same structure for multiple pages. So I like to have my grids kind of set up pretty generic. So on the parent of all the things that I want to like be in 2 columns, I'm going to give them a class. And if I look at this in the browser, so let's take a look. So if I right click and I say inspect, I can kind of use the developer inspect tool down at the bottom to see what's going on with my code. So if I mouse over this section, this has a default style. You can see my screen okay, right? I should probably keep checking. So this has a default style of block. It by default stretches all the way across the page. Move that up a little. And so each one of these they want to take up the whole screen. Main as well is defaulted as block. So see how there's this user agent style sheet? That tells me that HTML by default is telling me that this is block. So I can actually change this value. There are a bunch of different ones. There's block and there's inline. Inline is more like a link. Like, do I have any links in here? Yeah, so for Simply Chocolate, if I look at that, this is, oh, it doesn't even say display inline, but this only takes up the space that it needs. It doesn't like, it's, you know, it's like, it sort of, it flows with the content. If I change this, so I can go up here to element style, and whatever I have highlighted will kind of add CSS on the fly. So I can say display block, and then all of a sudden that link wants to take up that whole width. If you edit stuff in here, it's just sort of like a preview. If I refresh this page, it'll go away. But this is a really cool way to figure out how to style things. So I can also say this is like a inline dash block, and then it'll flow with the content, but I can also give it some more style than I could if it was just inline. So I could say, oops, I can give it like a background color of, we'll just make it pink. Pink. I can give it some padding of maybe, like, I'll just say 10 pixels all around. I can make the text be white. That's kind of hard to read. We'll just make an ugly navy. And then I can give it like a border radius of 12 pixels. And now all of a sudden it's starting to look like a button, right? So I can take something that generally wants to flow with the rest of the content and kind of give it its own style and have it stand out a little more. If I change this to inline, it's going to lose a lot of that style. Not all of it, but some of it. So, well, actually, it didn't lose a lot of it, huh? Well, there you go. Generally, I thought it lost like padding and margin, but I guess it isn't losing a lot of margin. 20 pixels. Yeah, so you can't do marring. That's not going to work. It's doing a little margin too. Okay, so there's inline, and then if, which is like the default for a link, and then if I do inline block, let's see what else we get. We just get a little more space. Okay, cool. Yeah, so margin's not working as well. And I'll explain it a little better, but it's like, it gives us a little more style without taking up the whole screen. So like if this is block, then it'll be on its own line. And maybe as a button, I don't want it to be taking up a whole line. Okay, veering off the subject, I'm gonna go back to Flex. So display block is what's happening with all this stuff. And I wanna change it to be display Flex. And what Flex does is it allows us to kind of smudge stuff together and still be able to apply a lot of different styles to it. So let's give this a try. I'm also going to refresh this so you can see all my weird styles that I typed in here are going to just vanish. If I hit refresh or Command R or Control R on a PC, if it will refresh. Okay, there you go. So good way to try stuff out on the fly. So let's go back to VS Code. So all these sections I want to be 2 columns. So I'm gonna first take this and copy it. I'm going to go to my style page, and then down here, I'm gonna add a dot to call. And then I'm going to say display Flex. So this to call is on main. So I'm saying make this main display Flex, so everything inside of it will flex. So if I hit save and I go back here, it's going to try at first to flex everything together. So now I have complete mayhem and chaos. I've got all 10 weeks in one giant row. No yawning. I can see you yawning. Okay, so I don't want that. That's crazy. So what I need to do is I want to say for each one of those children, those sections, to make them just be 50% of the page. So I'm going to then say to-call. So find the class called toColumn, and then inside that, find anything that's a section and make it a flex of 50%. And then hopefully it will not work. Awesome. Cool. And then we Google Flexbox toColumn equal width, because it's all about Googling equal width flex item. So your best option is to go to CSS Tricks is great. W3 Schools is great. Oh yes, I just remembered there's that resources page. Okay, so this one is saying for the column, where are these 25%? Flex 50%. That's what I did. Let's take a look. What did I do wrong? 2-column section, flex 50%. 2-column. Design journal. So we know they're flexing. Let's go back. Come on, refresh. And then this is where the inspect tool really comes in. So I can see what's happening with that flex. So I'm gonna pull that up. Okay, so I have 2-call display flex. If I click on a section, I have flex 50%. Why are they not flexing? All right, let's try this. Let's do this try it business. So run, creating 4 equal columns on a screen. Okay, so it's creating 2 because we're on a smaller screen. Column 50%. Let's look at the HTML. Row, column. Row is flex. Do I have to, oh, maybe I have to wrap it. Let's try that. So there's this flex wrap, colon wrap, that belongs with our main display flex. So let's try that. So maybe it has to wrap in order to be 2-column. Sure enough, that did the trick. Okay, so now we've got a 2-column website. I sure wish there was some space in between them. So I can just add a little margin to the sections. So for each section, I'll just say margin, sorry about my dogs, 10. Oops, what happened? Oh, ooh, cool trick. Okay, so the reason why this went back to a single column is that there is, if I change this to padding, see if that, okay. The way that HTML defaults is it wants to give the content all of the space that it needs. And so it's kind of sizing things based on content. So it wants content to have 50% of the page. If I add padding to that, let me bring up the inspect tool again. I'm basically not giving, like, there's no other space left over for padding, right? So I can't have 50 and 50 and then padding on top of that, because the content, if I mouse over here, this content is like, it wants to take up 50%, and then the padding on top of that wants to take up more than 50%, but there's a trick around this. So I want to say for my whole page, so I'm going to go up to my style, above body, there's like a wildcard that will change that importance of content to be importance of like layout. So I can say pound, and that's like everything. Do this to everything. And I'm going to say box model. I always forget this tag. I'm going to look it up. Google border / box is what I want. Box sizing. I always do model instead of, so I want to do box sizing. And the default is content box, but I can say make it border box. Make it like, make the border of this thing be the importance, like the important layout decider. And then I get that 2 columns back. So, and I'm gonna bring up an image to kind of show this more 50%. I'm gonna give it a little more padding. Okay, so let's look at HTML border box versus content box. And this is such a weird concept. I was kind of waiting to talk about how to reset all those HTML values, but I kind of want to go through it now to show you what's happening. I have 1 minute. I think we're going to run a couple minutes over. So content box versus border box. This is probably a good one to look at. Let's say if I don't change that value that I just changed, and I want to have a box that's 300 pixels wide. Come on. Okay, that's tiny. If I don't change that value, I'm going to have to say, okay, well, I want the width to be 300 plus a padding of 15 on each side. So 300 plus 30 plus a margin of 30. So 300 plus 30 plus 60, which is 390, right? So I have to say, okay, give me a box of 390 in order to make this so. If I have border box, it'll just decide what my content is. Like it'll just decide whatever's left over, that's what the content gets. So if I say I want a box that's 300 pixels wide, it's gonna just like kind of shrink down to allow for that space of the content. Yeah, let me see if there's like another image, or we can just, I'll do a quick tryout of this idea. So content box. Content box.html. Sure, that's a good name. Okay, I'm just gonna stick this on the desktop, save. Okay, I'm just gonna make a box. Div class, whatever, box. I'm gonna put some lorem ipsum in it. Oops, lorem p 20. Okay, so for the purpose of this, I'm just gonna do style up in the header. Don't be like me. So I've got this, this box. I'm going to give it a background color of, I don't know, antique white. Background color. Oh, spelling. Antique white. Okay. I'm going to give it a border of 1 pixel solid red. I'm going to give it a margin of 30 pixels and padding of, let's give it a huge padding, 60 pixels. And I'm going to say, I want my box to be 600 pixels. And then let's just, there's a thing called a horizontal rule. So I'm just going to make that be 600 wide. So HR is a width of 600 pixels. Then we can kind of see what's going on. So here's my box. I'm also just going to give my body a background color. Background color of a light gray. So let's take a look at this. Oh, I did a right click. Stop my server, restart my server. All right, it doesn't like it when the files are all over the place. I'll just grab it. Desktop. Okay, content box. Style. Oh, I have a typo. So my style isn't working at all because I had a typo. I just did like body colon instead of doing the curly bracket. Okay, so refresh. So here's my box. The padding, I wish I could do like, I guess I could do a thing around the paragraph, but let me do left on everything, or let's see, I'll just do margin auto so that the HR is the same. And also I'm gonna just make it darker because it's hard to see. Border 2 pixels solid black. Okay, so as you can see, the paragraph, this text inside here, it takes up 600 pixels. So what if I wanted to have like a page that had 600 pixels? This would be it would be a pain because I'd have to be like, oh, actually the box has to be smaller than 600 because it has to take into account padding and margin that I want to add. But if we change that other default style, which was if I do a wildcard, so asterisk, and I say box sizing, and I change it from the default, which is content box, to border box. Now it's going to make my whole box 600 pixels. So that was what was happening. For all, like most of our projects, we're going to use a reset library, so we don't have to fight against default HTML. And I haven't incorporated that into the homepage, so that's like kind of what's happening. So if I change this to content box, that'll go back to like the default, and you'll see that like 600 is the width of content. So it makes content king, right? And we want the border to be king, or ruler, queen. So yeah, that was what was happening there. So going back to this, I know I'm jumping around a lot today. Where is my homepage? Homework, homepage, index. I'm going to stop the server and start again. Okay, so now that design journal. So now that I've added that style in there, I can add padding and still have this like 2-column thing. Okay, so to recap, for the design journal, when you add flex, there's a couple things. If you're going to have multiple rows, you have to remember to say display flex on the parent, and then all of the direct children will flex. They'll try to all flex together. And so the 2 things that you need to add to that are flex wrap on the parent. So you're going to say flex everything inside me and wrap it. So if you need to make extra rows. And then on all of the children, and it'll only apply to the direct children, you can say, I want to actually flex each one 50%. So let them take up half the space of the screen. And then give them all some padding so they're not all smashed up. And then that the box sizing thing is here. So I'm gonna add, I'll add a, actually I'll just do it in announcements real quick. Okay, so there is a video on this that is way less tangential than I just was. And so reminder for Flexbox I'm gonna let you all go. Add this to the top of your CSS file. And if you have issues you want to work through, then I am around. I'm around till 11:50. Well, actually, I mean, yeah, till 11:50. And I'll just leave it open. If you are working on stuff and then you're like, oh, I don't get this, just pop back in and I'll just keep it running, and just holler at me because I'll probably just turn off my video and audio. But yeah, I will be here. Thanks a lot. Wireframes, get them done by Monday so we can start coding. And then like Wednesday-ish, you should have your design comps pretty much nailed down. Yeah. Okay, I will let you go. Cool. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let me turn off audio or recording.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.